Hello, lovely ladies. Today, what I am going to show you in this short clip is going to be the swords in arm position. Just one arm position we're going to look at today. And on this short clip, the only thing we're going to look at are the standing positions. So we're not going to do any turning moves. The second clip I'll do is the turning moves. But I want you to pay most attention in this clip to the orientation of the blades. And we talked in the last clip about the need for the blades to be most visible to the audience. So what we're going to be doing in our standing moves with our swords in arm positions is just simply practicing and working on the orientation of the blades. And in this arm position, swords in arm, really it's most visible. So if you work hard and get this orientation down, it'll be a breeze. So I am going to go through each of the moves, and I'm going to give you a little commentary so you have a little bit of understanding of the slight modifications that we are going to do with the moves. Again, if you ever get confused because you have swords and arms and are thinking, how does the move go? Simply put down the swords, execute the moves, pick up the swords, and do it simply exactly as the move calls for. Just be aware of the orientation of the blade because we're not changing the move. The fundamentals are still going to remain ATS fundamentals. And one of the beautiful things about this position, the swords and arms, is that it is really going to make us pay attention and have beautiful arms, because we always want our arms forward, which is very important to have beautiful ATS stance when they're at our hips, and we always want the elbows back when they're overhead. So we're just going to be really aware of having the elbows up, having the elbows back, and the orientation. And see how beautiful that is with orienting the swords, having those. If we just had limp elbows, wouldn't do it, wouldn't work. So really that principle of our ATS arms is really what's working in making our swords really beautiful. So I'm going to show you the Taksim first. And with the Taksim, our arms are going to be in the horizontal position, and we're in performance angle, always. We always remain in performance angle. But what I want you to make note of is that my arms are slightly open further than I would usually keep them if I didn't have swords. So instead of having them closer in, I just am aware of showing the flat of the blade. And so the Taksim is our regular, beautiful Taksim. But one of the things that we don't do with this is we aren't going to add arm undulations, because that would just make it confusing. It would detract from the beautiful hip movement. So we're not going, in this swords and arm position, we're not going to use the arm undulations. You can walk with it. And it's beautiful. So the next position we're going to look at, the next ATS move we're going to look at, is the body wave. And with the body wave, this is where we're going to have to be aware of the change in the orientation of the blades, because our left blade is going to remain flat in a horizontal position, but as our right blade goes overhead, we're going to orient it just a little bit using the thumb and the forehand so that it also is flat, so that we get a nice, beautiful view and frame of the ATS move and dancer. Again, this can move forward, and this can move back. And going into the rib cage rotation, The arms are going to be the same as the Taksim, a little bit further open to give a nice view of our rib cage. They're going to be fairly stable as we make this nice, beautiful rib cage rotation. We can go into the torso twist. Our arms are not going to be moving really far up and down, just enough to indicate that it's a part of the move. We can do a 2 and 3 point turn with this. I'll do a 2-point turn. And we come around to dance angle. So that's the torso twist. Next, we're going into the circle step. And as we know, we have one arm, which is going to be in the side to side, which is a horizontal position. Again, we want to be aware that the blade is facing the audience. Our other hand, our right hand, is down at our hip, and we want to make sure with this move that our hand is not locked to our hip, because we want to have our torso moving beautifully underneath it as we shift our weight from one side to the other. And again, we can do a 2 or 3 point turn. I'll do a 2-point turn. Again, performance angle. And back to performance angle. And we have the next lovely move, which I really think is absolutely beautiful because it shows off the dancer and the move so well, and that is the camel step. I love to start the camel step with my arms overhead for the beautiful sword presentation. And we're going to simply bring our swords from one position to the next. Now the modification here is going to be at the ending. And instead of doing the arm undulations, which really detracts from the move, what we're going to be doing to end it is, as normal, we're going to do a modified slight body wave to get back onto our base. And we'll also do a slight modified rib cage rotation. So this is how the ending looks. Beautiful framing. Beautiful framing. Here we're going to have the slight modification. And we have one more standing move, which is the rainbow. And the rainbow looks like this. So what I want you to be aware of is the fact that when we usually do our hand floreos, we're going to have no hesitation in those points. We're just going to have a smooth arc that goes from side to side. And we're also going to have our head following as the usual position. So, we're going to look to one side, going to move the head as our arms change position, move to the other side as our arm changes position. And those are all the standing moves. Thank you.